Yes, welcome back. And guess who we have in the studio? You just saw her singing there. Do you remember who that is? Miatta Fahnbulleh, the Liberian known as DD, Douania Diva. She's right here in the studio. Welcome, Miatta.
Thank you, and it's good to be
Good to
here.
have you with us.
Yes.
Cool, that name goes back, way, way back. When you were a hot diva.
Wait, I'm not hot anymore.
You are still very hot.
That was a year and a half ago. We're still, but yes, we've gone on beyond
You're
the hot
slowing
stage.
down.
Yes.
Well, it's good to have Miatta with us in the studio. She was born in Monrovia, Liberia, and she was educated in England, Sierra Leone, Kenya, and the United States. Of course, in the music scene of those days, she was one of the hottest African singers, along with Makiba.
Yes.
We're so honored to have you in the studio with us
Oh, come on.
morning.
I say Nigeria is my home away from home, so.
Oh, well, we know you have loads of friends in Nigeria. Now, tell us about how the whole music thing started for you.
My grandmother used to take me to church. She was part of this evangelical Aladura. Yes, every day this woman would go to vigil and stuff, and she would trek me with
This
her.
is in Liberia.
This is in Liberia.
Okay.
Yes, and I loved the music. I must have been about 5, 6. I couldn't understand anything they were talking. Not that I was even really interested. But I loved the music, the harmony, and so I didn't object going to those services.
So you actually just went there to enjoy the music?
I did. I have to be very honest.
Did Grandma sing?
Not really. Grandma was more into
The dancing?
Dancing and praise the Lord. Oh, yes.
So there was no singing in the family at all before
Oh,
you
no.
came along?
There's plenty of singing in the family on both sides. On my father's side, I had an aunt who was like a celebrated singer in the rural area. Okay, she came from the village, traditional singer. I met her years later because I didn't know of her. And then on my mother's side, they've come out of this Episcopal denomination, and my mother was in the choir, and my cousin played the keyboard. So yes, and now out of my siblings, like I have a brother in America, all his children sing, and yeah, it's part of the family now.
Very interesting. Now, how did you discover your talent?
I didn't discover it. People just said, you can sing.
Okay, people discovered it for you.
Yeah, they discovered it for me. And I will tell you something. Even after 40-something years, and I hear myself and I watch tapes and things, I still ask, can I really sing? I do ask that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But in spite of asking that, you went ahead and sang.
Yes, it comes naturally. It's easier. It's easy for me to do, and I figure being a lawyer or a doctor, something serious like that was just going to be too tedious for my temperament.
Now there was this story that's been told so many times that your parents did not really encourage you to sing.
Yeah, well, back in the 60s, which parent
Wanted their daughter to sing.
wanted their daughter to sing? Daddy dear was ambassador, Sierra Leone, Kenya, and spent his money in putting me in the best of schools. And then
you decide to sing.
Yeah, and all I wanted to really
can do better than sing.
Exactly.
What happened to being a doctor?
Yeah, that's it. Initially, my family was like, where did we go wrong with her?
She wants to sing.
But I think luckily for me, Miriam Makeba had appeared on the stage. And for West Africa, we're all from West Africa, it was the first time an African woman, came to the forefront. And so, I could always use her as an argument, but that lady is singing. And yes,
so
but
can't be too much wrong
but
with it.
she's from South Africa.
Oh, she's not one of us.
She's not one of us.
Okay.
But I just kept steady, and I had a wonderful grandfather. My grandfather was like the head of our family, my maternal grandfather, and they thought they were doing something. They told him to give me a pep talk.
And talk her out of it, yeah?
Yes, and talk me out of it, and I'll tell you. He said to me, don't mind them.
It's the exact opposite.
My grandfather did the exact. He says, you have a talent, and it's a gift from God. We didn't give it to you. You didn't find it yourself. So you're a very special person, and all I want you to do is always remember that this is God's gift. So you must use it to the best of your ability for your fellow man and blah, blah. He was a lawyer as well. But that was it. And that pep talk was, when? 1976 or so. So I never looked back.
So when you look back now in the 70s, you will not find a lot of young women in Liberia or anywhere in West Africa singing. Has a lot changed now, especially in Liberia?
Oh yes. The singers abound. The young female singers are there. I'm very proud of them. I hear names every day. I see acts, but I always tell them, listen, you guys are lucky. You're lucky. The attitudes have changed. Now focus on the art, because a lot of times I see glamour or fame as the objective, whereas they need to concentrate and pay attention to the development of their art.
Now, when you sang that song, Oba, and you're thinking of womanhood, you're thinking of motherhood, would you say that that concept of womanhood, motherhood, that some of us grew up knowing that mother is supreme and all that, do you still see that in the true African sense in our society now, especially when you look at what some men do to women in our communities?
Well, first of all, let's deal with the girls and the women. I don't know about Nigeria, but I think it's a phenomenon all over Africa now. And in my country especially, we have a serious problem, high rate of teenage pregnancy, young girls who really are not fit to be mothers, and not fit in the sense of they're not developed enough, they're not mature enough, and the percentage of women now who want to be mothers, as I knew my mother and yours, it's not there anymore, and it's very worrying.
So what do we begin to do? Because I checked online and I noticed that you've had quite a few mentoring sessions that you've done for Liberian young men and women. What is it we need to begin to tell them? Because they will listen to someone like you because of your fame and what you've achieved in the music industry and outside of it.
I talk to young girls and I talk to mothers. In Liberia, they have different categories of mothers. They say baby ma.
That's the baby mother.
Yeah, that's the baby's mother. She's never there. She still wants to be going to the disco and stuff, leaving her children at home, etc. And tragedies happen in her absence and stuff. And then you have our ma, meaning us, the older women who are trying to instill some kind of focus and discipline.
As the grannies and aunties.
And aunties. And then, of course, you do have a percentage of young women who are true mothers, even in combining their occupation. Yes.
So, our society then, if we want it to evolve, we need some more education for the young generation of mothers to come?
Oh, yes, we do.
And are we doing enough
no,
as
we're
communities?
not doing enough. We're not
What's
doing
stopping
enough.
us?
Well, what is stopping us is that, first of all, the media has been overtaken by a lot of foreign culture, a lot of foreign movies. Our kids are watching the movies, they're watching the videos, and they want to think that that's the way it is. And I don't see enough of us countering it. I have to tell you, I fight with my Nigerian friends, my actor colleagues and actresses, because they hold a magic wand today on this continent. The power of Nigerian movie is right across sub-Saharan Africa. Even you get to South Africa, and my South African girlfriends are saying, Chineke, God forbid. You know, so much power, and yet I'm seeing stories where every other young girl is trying to take somebody's husband. Every mother is going to the juju man, so her daughter, you know, and I keep asking, where are these stories coming from? Are there no true families? Are there no true people with values? Are there no mothers
Good
who
stories can be
good
told.
stories can be told, and we need to do that more, not to fall into the junk, as I call it, not to fall into the junk. If we're going to give our people some kind of direction.
Okay, I was listening to Kokolioko yesterday, and I thought, wow, this is a real dance tune from the 70s, and I thought, what inspired that? And then the language, you kind of like mixed. I'm not really sure, because there were some words you used that I couldn't even understand.
Kokolioko.
What does it mean?
Now Creole with the talk, where the cock they crow money, early cock money, Kokorioko for wake people. That's what Kokorioko is. Early morning, the cock is crowing. So in my mind, I just slipped the other little thing inside about making love, because I found out.
Sorry?
Yeah, I found out that men wake up in the morning ready to make love. Yes. And so it's like, please, give me a break. Well, you know from whence we came now.
Okay.
This is an ambassador's daughter.
You see?
Who decided, in spite of all the education all over the world, decided to be a singer and an actress.
Yes.
And now she's telling us about Kokorioko.
But he asked me now.
Yes.
Which words you didn't understand? When we say chicken they crow for day.
Yes.
That's pigeon. That's Creole.
Yes.
Chicken they crow because money don't come.
Yes.
And then what happens?
It they bug me, say make we try.
Kayode, please,
Yes.
excuse me. Yes. My question is, how did you convince your father eventually to accept that you were going to be a singer and there was no two ways about it?
I don't think I convinced him until I came out with my first album on EMI in 1978. And there was a beautiful ballad that I did on that album. It's called The Lullaby, and it's a mother's lament for her stolen child in the Kru dialect, which is one of the languages in Liberia. And I was in London. Yeah, because he had given up on me. You know, there was not much communication there. So I did this beautiful album and everything, and I sent it to him, especially, and I said, I want you to listen
to,
and then tell me what you think. And he did, and he called me back and said, not bad. Yeah, you know, not bad. And he said, I think your best performance was in The Lullaby. And he said, so you should always try to stay within that feeling of your music. But that was the endorsement there. 1978, he finally accepted.
Okay. Now, one of the things I know that it will be unfair to conclude this interview without dwelling on is international media still refer to Liberia as a war-ravaged nation.
It is.
How do you feel, and how do you think this can go on? Because you did mention just before we came on air that you now live in Monrovia. How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about living in Monrovia?
No, about the fact that it's being a country that had so much to itself, but unfortunately the war and the seasons and the periods of John Doe and Taylor and the execution of Talbot and all that history.
Where were you during the war anyway?
Oh, I ran away first to Ghana. Then I came to Nigeria. And when I felt my brothers in West Africa, through ECOMOG, seemed to have lost the direction, I went to America. I came back from America in 2003. Okay. But on your question, it's war ravaged. It's war ravaged. And I guess when I'm talking to Nigerians, I have to say that 40 years after your own small war, or the Easterners will tell you their country is still ravaged. I saw that back in 1994 when I went to Aruchukwu for the first time, for my brother Tom Onyado's funeral. And, you know, there were remnants of a war that had been fought. So if Nigeria, if the, quote, East, has yet to recover after 40 years, it's going to take longer for Liberia.
Is the Africa's first ever elected female president, is she doing enough? Is she succeeding as president of Liberia? And that's Sirleaf Johnson.
You know, I support Mrs. Sirleaf because she's a woman. I want her to succeed. Is she doing enough? What can she do? What? You know, sometimes I'm critical, but sometimes when I sit and think of the challenges of Liberia, you know, it's not just about putting the infrastructure. It's not just about fixing the roads. It's not just about these ideas of, you know, IMF, World Bank policies, etc. It's about a nation totally devastated. And
Psyche.
You know, it's scary when you sit to think about it. The Carter Center informed us, Liberians, last year that we have about 40% of people living with mental illness or on the verge as a result of the war. Yes. 40%. I would even say
more.
It's more than that. Because what people saw, what children saw, what young people were involved in, it's not something that's going to go away in 10 years. So we're dealing with all of these. Yes, some say Mrs. Sirleaf is doing, you know, what political leaders do, trying to balance it. Some of us say it is not enough. But then, being there, seeing it on a daily basis, it's not going to be, you know, nobody.
It's not going to be enough. No. Okay, well, we will have to wrap up now, and we do want you to sing us a song. Maybe you'll sing us Kokoriko.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So, Alera, over to you. Let's wrap up.
You've been railroaded.
Yeah? And
specifically
specifically Kokoriko?
No, sing us a good song, but maybe Kokoriko. I like the Kokoriko.
No, but you know what? I've got this new one that I've written specifically for the leaders in Africa, etc. And it's